Often the best experiences are the ones that are unexpected, the ones that we haven't scripted, the moments that just come together in natural light in their own time. And this is one of those stories. It was a formative story in my life, one of chance, one of adventure, and one of sickness, as you'll find out. Welcome to Full Takes. This is John Henry, and I'm excited to share with you a full take of mine from the Irish Sea. Each episode of Full Takes brings you into my eyes and my journey through the space as a photographer, and I walk you through my thinking, what I was doing, the obstacles in my way, so that you can understand how I make pictures and apply those sorts of tips and tricks to your own practice. And today we're going to be jumping into Ireland, and specifically the Irish Sea. So it's going to get wet, it's going to get messy, and I might get a little seasick. So stick around to the end and I'll reveal my favorite photo and why it's what you might not expect. Here we are leaving my couch surfing abode. And here I am on the train heading north out of Dublin, just making pictures of reflections and my coffee mug, apparently. I tend to want to take landscapes from very far away so that there's a lot of space in the photograph. I really like a sort of very clear horizon, and that's become a bit of a staple of mine. As I said, this is full take. These aren't edited. These aren't culled down. Um, so you're getting warts and everything in these photographs here. I like this picture as a bit of a scene setter, thinking about lines and intersecting lines, repeating shapes. Here I am looking for, again, scene setters. This is sort of a circular picture here, a spiral picture, meant to educate you on where we are, but also pique some interest. And in this moment, I was able to capture a bit of a moment here with this bird flying through, and it really makes this picture much more interesting. And at this point, I've walked up the hillside into the countryside and just exploring the quiet little fishing village. Here you can see an island in the distance. A boat is going out to sea here. And this is my introductory image to the people of this story. This is actually the captain of the boat, and he's welding here. And I initially overlooked this picture for years, and I've recently come back to it to appreciate the details of this image, the paint on the back of the boat, and also you can see some depth there a little bit and see like the fishing village in the background. So this is very a working class sort of experience. And here I am being distracted by some fuzzy sea mammals. We're heading out to sea. The gentleman on the left invited me onto the boat, and ironically, I bet in a way he was the least experienced. He was newest to the crew, and however, he was friendly, and we struck up a conversation, and he invited me on board. Of course, he had to kind of okay it with the captain, and he agreed. The captain agreed, and the rest is history here. And so at this point, I'm just trying to get comfortable with these guys, really get them comfortable with me making pictures. This image really stands out to me, and you can see they're laughing here. I think they're laughing at me for taking a picture of this scene. But this was important to me because I wanted to basically show them that I was serious about documenting everyday life on this boat. And this was a moment, the lighting was really interesting. And of course, it was intimate because there's a guy in bed here. And they're just talking, they're just having a whatever, hanging out. And so this was the sleeping quarters, but this is where the fishermen slept for the most part. And see, so almost immediately they get over it and they just go back to um, their own life. And here I am out for the first time on the deck fishing, or observing the fishing. And so there were, I think, in terms of fishermen on this trip, there were three Irish guys, and then there's these two Egyptian fellas, and so I forget all of their names at this point. It's been a few years since I've been out there, quite a few years, but it was interesting to have some diverse sort of world views on the boat too, made for good, timely discussions. And I didn't know what was happening at this point. I didn't know what they were doing, how it worked. I was just trying to stay out of their way, and I was doing a bad job at that as well. I'm really trying to show pictures at this point of what people are doing. And so these are verb pictures. You know, he's pulling in the net. It's an action photograph. And here's a quick moment in the kitchen. And then morning again. We're back out at sea. And it gets much more interesting here. I think it's actually going to be raining as well. And the sun is going to be shining. Uh, the seagulls, man, they knew they were going to be pulling in fish. And they swarmed in, following the boat. Here we go. These are dogfish, and they weren't happy to be catching these. They were basically worthless. It's a messy job, man. It's a sort of a micro kind of experience. It's a dirty job, that's for certain. It's hard work. And so you could see him sifting through here and finding the prawns. They're looking for prawns at this point. This whole first day, the first 24 hours, is just everybody kind of finding their groove. The fishermen were finding their groove. I was learning about the process, looking for light, looking for, moments. Um, I didn't know, the space was a bit cramped, and so I'm a little close in here with the 50 millimeter focal length. That's a little too much. And we're back out at night again in the rain. And so this is me playing with movement, with motion. I wanted to add a little bit of urgency, a little bit of chaos, because it was such a chaotic sort of moment. So this is 1/20th of a second, and I think it gets at that a little bit. But probably not too successful. Here I am playing with, again, shutter, with the birds, looking for movement, trying to make something interesting out of these patterns. Very sort of Hitchcock moment here. I kind of like this photo in retrospect. I hadn't paid much attention to it. Here's the fisherman in with the fish, getting it unclogged. Right, everybody's covered. And finally they catch some prawns, thank God. Everybody was in a better mood after that. I kind of like this photo of the fish getting cleaned. Simple, but straightforward, tells the story. By focusing in on the fish and the gloves, you can really get into the feeling of like what it must have smelt like and what it must have been like, and there's this slime all over this table. So that is, that to me is just a bit telling. And it's just a silly moment here. Yeah, I want to jump back to this picture. This becomes a bit more evocative, and it's less. While it is an action verb or an action photo, you know, it's a verb photo still of somebody doing something. It becomes more of a mood in a sense. There's a bit more of an adjective. You start to feel it. Starts to be, you know, stinky, and like you can. It makes you feel something. Whereas I think if I was focusing on this entire person, you could see his face. It would be very much an action verb or an action photo, or a verb photo, and it would make it less interesting somehow by having his face. This is very much just a noun picture. And here's the last picture of the take, of the full take. This is the skipper. He's reading, this is the captain, the skipper of the boat, and he's reading Skipper magazine. And I love this because he's in it, you know. He's like absorbed in the craft. There he is, you know, with his navigation equipment, working, doing the hard thing, you know, living the life. What photo for you was the most successful one? For me, the most successful photo, you might not agree with, but I will share now. This to me is the most successful picture because it is a scene setter. It tells you very clearly what kind of place we're at, what's happening, and also there's an important aspect to this in that I made this picture really before I knew the story was happening. And so it goes to show the importance of making scene setting pictures as you arrive at a place, and be thoughtful about how you compose them and what you're getting into, because those pictures might ultimately best represent and open a story for your narrative. What do you think? Was this my most important picture of this full take? Let me know in the comments what picture you think is better and why. And if you like full takes, if you think this idea is interesting and you get to get a deep dive into the process of photography, not just sort of the photos themselves, but like how they were made, like this video and subscribe for more, because it really helps my small growing channel out, and it helps me find other photographers like you who are interested in the world and interested in documenting the reality of the world. So thank you. See you soon.